Superman has topped the global box office for its second weekend in a row, crossing the $400 million mark. The bulk of those ticket sales are coming from North American theaters, though, and director James Gunn offered some insight on why his film is doing better domestically in the United States than it is overseas. Speaking to Rolling Stone, Gunn explained, quote, "Superman is not a known commodity in some places. He's not a big known superhero in some places like Batman is. That affects things. It also affects that we have a certain amount of anti-American sentiment around the world right now. It isn't really helping us," end quote. He's still got the #1 movie in the world, and Gunn sounds optimistic, noting that it's performing well in the United Kingdom and Brazil, adding that, quote, "Word of mouth is very positive both here and everywhere else, which is the thing that we need it to do most," end quote. Rumors were circulating online that in order to avoid being a flop, Superman would need to break $700 million globally, which Gunn has dismissed as a complete and utter nonsense. Superman has been received well by critics and moviegoers alike, with an 83 fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes among critics and 92% from users. So lower international box office numbers aside, it seems like Gunn's new DC universe is off to a pretty strong start. Meanwhile, we got an update on the status of the Marvel Cinematic Universe this weekend, and offering some insight of their future plans, as well as the reasoning behind some recent developments. For starters, Kevin Feige put to rest the speculation that the introduction of Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom was in the works long before the pivot away from Kang, following Jonathan Majors' departure. He would say, "We started to realize that Kang wasn't big enough. He wasn't Thanos, and that there was only one character that could be that because he was in the comics for decades and decades. Because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had it, and it was Dr. Doom. And in fact, I started talking with Robert Downey Jr. about this audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. It was a long plan that we had to take on one of our greatest characters and utilize one of our greatest actors." Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was released in early 2023 to disappointing box office draw and even worse critical reception. Jonathan Major, who played the main villain, Kang, was arrested on domestic violence charges later that year. At the time, the next Avengers movie had already been announced as Kang Dynasty, but it's interesting that Marvel was having second thoughts about it so early. In any case, we're getting Avengers Doomsday instead, which is slated to hit theaters on December 18th, 2026. Feige also gave some hints on the direction of the MCU would be taking after Secret Wars, saying Endgame literally was about endings, Secret War is about beginning. One big question Marvel fans have about the future is how the MCU will introduce the X-Men. Jake Schreier, who directed Thunderbolts, will be directing the next currently untitled X-Men film, and it will, quote, "reset the MCU." Reboot is a scary word, Feige explained. Reboot can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Reset, singular timeline. We're thinking along those lines. X-Men is where that will happen next. Which X-Men, you ask? Well, several members of Fox's X-Men films will make appearances in Avengers Doomsday, but moving forward beyond that, the plan is to recast them to focus on a group of young mutants. Which characters should make up the next generation of X-Men, and who should